yard here and raised my sons and saw my grandchildren grow up. The boys still live and work in Royal Bay. Two of them went their own ways a long time ago. But Joel, my youngest, stayed with his old man. Good hands. Good engineer. The yard's mine now. Paid and clear. Well, fine day. Plenty of good work to do. And even an hour to wander back to the place I came from. That gracious old building is Royal Bay City Hall, where I learned the fine art of political knife fighting. My son David's home, my oldest son, doing all right as a psychologist. I'll be seeing him for dinner tonight. The hospital where his boy Chris is serving his internship. And the farm where I was born. Broken down old barn. It never did look any good. One of the reasons I ran off to sea when I was 14. That would be my son, Barney. If he's going back to where I think he is, he'll cut a fine piece of trouble for himself. Came back to Royal Bay. Probably still as restless as I was when I came back. So many years ago. And just as ready to declare war against everything he didn't like.
Mr. Bennett?
That's up to you, isn't it?
Well, in the end, it'll be up to Mrs. Chappell.
We're retaining your legal services, not Mrs. Chappell's. Delta Industries is interested in Royal Bay, and we expect the community to be interested in the plant we want to build here. Water, power, highway, railroad, harbor, test facilities, good living space for our people. This land, Mr. Stafford, or we pick another city.
This one, Mr. Bennett.
Call me New York.
Well,
It isn't every day I get to entertain the city council, especially my old man.
Well, you're a pretty busy fella, Barney.
Well, that's the general idea, isn't it, Pop? Come on in, the gang's all here.
Hold on calls, please. Hurry.
I appreciate all you busy gentlemen finding time to stop by.
Off the record, Barney. Nothing official.
I'll let you be the judge.
All right.
Dad, you know Walter Garrick.
Good. Walter.
All right, Hugh.
Sir, would you sit here?
Yes, thank you.
Gentlemen, Mr. Garrick is with us today as Della Chapel's attorney. Mr. Garrick, would you tell the city council what you told me on the phone this morning?
About 3 days ago, I presented your offer to Mrs. Chapel.
Delta Space Industries offer. $1,400,000 for the Circus Downs property.
I regret to say that she is not interested.
And we regret to hear it, Counselor.
I can't believe that, Walter. Try, it's a fact.
Why?
I don't think that Mrs. Chapel need explain herself. I mean, Delta Industries can choose a new site.
They happen to want this one, or they'll choose another city. That's exactly how Royal Bay is going to lose out on about $22 million a year of science-space business. That's your figures, gentlemen, not mine. Is that worth fighting for, Pop?
We all want that plant, Barney. It was your job to explain this to her.
Now, come on, Sam, you know better than that. I tried getting the lady on the telephone on 8 separate occasions. Each time I was told she was resting. Can't be disturbed.
She won't discuss it, Barney. Not with you, not with anyone. Not now or ever.
And in that, sir, lies the very reason for this meeting. Now, it may not be wise to say what I'm going to say in front of you, but all of us, with the apparent exception of Mrs. Chapel, are committed to the interests of Royal Bay, so I don't see why we should have any secrets. Right now, the 90-some-odd acres of Circus Downs property bring in about $11,000 a year in city taxes. And developed as an industrial site, this tax figure would become something like $150,000. Now, gentlemen, under the circumstances, I don't think it would be unfair for this council to order a reassessment of the property and increase the present tax rate by, let's say, a factor of 5.
Stella's land. She owns it. She has the right to do what she wants.
Anything she wants, Pop? Even against the community interests? Why? Because she's locked herself up in that mansion of hers for the past 15 years? Because her grandfather grabbed everything in sight and then bought up the rest? All right. As much as any one individual can own a city, Della Chapel owns this one. But she doesn't own me. She doesn't own you. I'd be glad to hear your opinion.
We can't decide this now, Barney.
Just tell me whether anything I've said might strike the public as being unfair, or illegal, or illogical. Mr. Nadella? Eric? Herb? Mr. Jordan? Mr. Stafford?
You play pretty rough.
Oh, I don't play, I work. I came back here to live, remember, Pop? It's my city, too. Mr. Garrick, your witness.
I'd like to phone my client.
Please, help yourself.
Did you have to pull this in front of him?
Think of the cause, Herb. Sometimes we all have to go through a little embarrassment.
My.
How am I doing?
Not so bad. As long as you're going to stick around, Counselor, I'm still in the market for a good attorney.
Oh, no. You're a rough customer. We'd end up fighting.
You would.
We would. Like just now.
Mrs. Chapel's on the phone. She'd like to talk with you.
Nice talking to you. decided she'd like to talk it over. Tonight, 2 o'clock. Well, gentlemen, the meeting's adjourned.
Nice work, Sonny. I'll see you. I'll see you.
Goodbye,
Barney.
Barney was proud of himself that night, driving up to the chapel place. I suppose I should have guessed some of the things that would happen there. But even if I had, I couldn't have stopped him. This is Della's home. If the effect is a little overpowering, that's what it was designed for. As long as anybody could remember, wealth and power had lived in this place. Since the last time I'd seen her, quite a few years ago, Della Chapel had lived most of her life inside these walls. I suppose she had visitors, but not many of them were from Royal Bay. There was her attorney, Walter Garrick, of course, and that night, Barney.
Mr. Stafford? Thank you for coming.
Thank you for asking me.
Do you mind working so late?
Not at all.
I think I would if I were you. What's your opinion of Walter Garrick?
Walter Garrick's a very fine attorney.
As a man,
I wouldn't know.
would you challenge his opinion?
Possibly.
Do you mind? Do you consider yourself ambitious?
Moderately.
I should say immoderately.
If you want it that way.
Let's not try and impress me with your self-assurance. I know why you left Royal Bay and what you were searching for, Mr. Stafford. I know why you came back, and I know within $1,000 how much your practice is worth. Shocking, isn't it? I also consider you something of an honest man, for the time being at any rate. I expect honest answers when I ask for them. Why should I sell my property, Mr. Stafford? I'm not exactly in need of funds.
If it means anything to you, Mrs. Chappell, that plant would bring about 3,000 extra jobs here to Royal Bay.
15,000 extra people. What happens to them if Delta loses its space contracts?
They'd be in trouble, just like our people who need work right now.
What if I told you I happen to like Royal Bay exactly the way it is?
It's going to change, Mrs. Chappell, whether you like it or not.
Would you prefer it dominated by a board of directors in New York?
No. And if you'll excuse me, not by you.
My family made this city, Mr. Stafford.
Would you consider the possibility this city made your family, Mrs. Chappell?
I want to show you something. What's the word for 2 books? 3 books about the same thing, or a trilogy. What's 2 books?
I don't know. A duology, I suppose.
No,
don't think that's right.
My daughter Jenny, Mr. Stafford.
How do you do, Jenny?
I guess we're old family friends. My mother used to know your father very well.
Well, tell him. I'll be seeing him tomorrow.
Excuse me.
The Circus Downs property came out of this patchwork of old deeds. Several of them go past my grandfather's time. Mr. Stafford, for the sake of argument, let's assume that your marvelous powers of persuasion might lead me to accept your offer. Walter Garrick tells me that there might be some restriction to my right to sell the land.
For the sake of argument, what sort of restriction?
Suppose you search that out for yourself. It's really part of your job, isn't it?
I'll have to look through these.
I'll be very interested in your opinion. The papers will have to stay here.
He's very nice.
Jenny, all that talk about the land, you already know what you're going to do. Of course.
Well, then why ask him here? It spoils our nice little prison. Unless you want him for one of the prisoners. I've been waiting for you.
You people always stay up all night like this?
Well, my mother does. Ever since my father died. That was before I was born. That's a statue of the moon goddess. Do you think she looks like me?
You're prettier.
Am I? That crazy one over there is our sun god. Mother and I made him out of clay when I was little. I used to bring him gifts.
Jenny, do you and your mother ever go out?
Sometimes we take long drives at night in my car. Oh, I like that fun, going fast. If you come back, I'll take you for a drive. Don't look so sad. It's not so bad here. I'll show you my favorite place, if you like. Come on. I've ever seen.
Jenny? Are you happy here?
I am now.
You don't have many guests, huh?
No. Would you like to see? When I was little, I used to think that paradise was about 100 friends to play with. Mother doesn't like people much. I think she hates them. The way she hates the daylight.
Why?
Something terrible happened once. Something she did to keep all this. To keep me, I suppose. But I don't want her to hate you.
Jenny. Have you ever had a boyfriend?
Why? Are you going to be my fella?
Jenny, isn't there anything you want outside this place?
One thing. Just to be free.
That's what I want, too.
But you are free.
I mean, really free. I travel to a lot of places. Talk to a lot of wise men. Try to find out how to do that. I ended up coming back home.
I have to go now.
Jenny.
Please. You're hurting me. I'm sorry, but I have to go.
Jenny?
Any conclusions, Mr. Stafford?
What?
About Circus Downs, that is the point, isn't it?
Well, it'll take a day or two.
When you come back, you better plan to stay until the job is done. And try to remember that it's my property, not Jenny's. Good night.
her for a picnic. He didn't say a word about her. Neither did I at first. He fell asleep by the lake. And me, I salvaged myself a boat.
Is it okay, Mr. Stafford?
Not okay, it's perfect. You better sail it right. Don't go giving my work a bad reputation.
Hey, man. Hey, how about a little game of family ball, man?
No, man. I don't want to play no family ball, man. Where's Pop?
He's over there. He's talking with our smart brother.
What's the matter? Am I smart?
Nah, you're the one that's going to get rich.
Think so, huh?
You got the touch, Counselor.
Hi.
Hi, join the party. Something to eat?
No, thanks. How's your son, the intern?
Knocked out.
Me too. I've been working all night at Della Chapel's place.
Like a deal?
Maybe, not yet. Pop, I understand you used to know her.
That's right.
That why you got so edgy in my office?
I never get edgy. Don't you know that?
Is that a fact, David?
That's a lie, Barney.
How well did you know her, Pop?
Well enough.
How well?
After your mother died and before Della got married, she was different then.
What changed her?
I wouldn't know.
What goes on up at that fun house?
Don't ask me, David. You're the psychologist. She has a daughter. David, why do people lock themselves away like that?
Well, there are all kinds of nightmares, Barney. I remember you taking me up there once for her daughter's birthday party. I must have been about 8. It's a funny party. It's nighttime. All the kids fell asleep at the table. What's the girl's name?
Jenny. She's a beautiful girl. Somebody ought to take her away from that place.
Just do your job, sonny boy. Don't get involved. Just make yourself a lot of misery.
Came back, Jenny. Did he? Oh, I'm sure you didn't know, darling. I want you with me when I talk to him. You have to learn about these things. Someday you'll be alone. I'm already alone. We need each other, Jenny. We're all we have. Please don't touch me. Done with all that. person. I'm sick of you. Do you want me to go away, Jenny? Is that what you want?
No.
To leave you alone?
No.
Just you alone in this house?
No, please. No, Mother, please. It's all right. It's all right, darling. Jenny.
You must know how much I love you. We mustn't hurt each other. Ever. Ever.
Well, can you give Mr. Bennett a message for me? I can't give him an answer yet on that Royal Bay property. I'll need at least another day. Thank you.
I hope your room is comfortable, Mr. Stafford.
Fine, thank you.
I'm pleased you came back.
I enjoy your daughter's company. Also, I'm an ambitious man. I believe we established that.
Don't get too ambitious. Not with Jenny. Not in this house.
Dinner, Mrs. Chapel.
Our guests will be dining with us.
Magnificent.
Come swim with me, Barney.
Oh, I'm dazzled by the invitation, but old men like me have to get our sleep.
You're not so much older.
Just enough.
You're too young for her.
For who?
Who do you think? Stay with me, Barney. Don't go away.
I can't stay here, Jenny. Drive down and visit me sometime. We'll find you some nice friends.
I might not be if you'd stay here a little longer.
What are you afraid of?
None of the world, none of anything out there.
Your mother? She can't keep you here, Jenny. Not if you want to live...
How long was she here?
Not long. She wanted to talk. About you, as a matter of fact.
And you had to show yourself off.
Now, wait a minute. Don't get any fancy
Oh,
ideas.
what a fine man you are. What a fine strutting animal you are. But that's all you are. All you'll ever be and all you'll ever understand. Why don't you go away? I want you to. Just leave us alone. You wanted him for yourself, didn't you? You pretend it doesn't matter, but you've always wanted everything for yourself. Tell her, Jenny. Even me.
I was right, Mother, wasn't I? Wasn't I?
Della was in for a shock that morning. She was used to dominating people, especially people from Royal Bay. She'd been born and bred to it. But Barney was a brand of lightning she didn't quite know how to handle.
Mrs. Kyle, tell Mr. Stafford I'd like to see him in 10 minutes. What time did he leave?
Citizens had a shock of their own that day. Della Chapel drove down into the city of Royal Bay like a cloudburst in the middle of the Sahara.
Mrs. Della Chapel. Do you want me to spell it?
I don't seem to have you down for an appointment, Mrs. Chapel.
I'm sure Mr. Stafford will make time for me.
Mrs. Della Chapel to see you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You may go right in.
Talk to you about...
In a minute, Mrs. Chapel. I appreciate you don't get out very often, but this happens to be my home ground.
I'm afraid I was upset this morning. The things I
Mrs.
said...
Chapel, just for openness, we don't like each other very much.
That's hardly necessary, as long as your work is competent.
Thanks. My client still happens to be the Delta Industries. You probably know your grandfather tried to restrict the powers of his grantees from transferring the Circus Downs property to any business corporation for a period of 50 years. It seems Grandpa also liked Royal Bay, exactly the way it was.
Wouldn't that that be interpreted as restraint on alienation?
That's right. You're pretty good at this game, aren't you? In my opinion, no court in the state would recognize an unreasonable restraint of this nature. Mrs. Chappell, you can do what you want with your land.
I'm prepared to sell it, Mr. Stafford.
Congratulations. You're an hour too late. Delta Industries withdrew their offer.
I am sorry.
Yeah, so am I.
You've gone to a great deal of trouble for me.
Forget it. It's on the house.
I'm not in the habit of accepting gifts.
It's my pleasure, Mrs. Chappell.
There'll be other problems from time to time. We haven't discussed a retainer yet. Would you accept $25,000 a year?
I'd love it.
My pleasure, Mr. Stafford.
Unfortunately, they wouldn't be quite ethical.
I'm sure we can settle any conflict of interest.
Not this one. Her name is Jenny.
What about Jenny?
She's a frightened girl.
Aren't you being a little presumptuous?
I'm going to presume to help Jenny get out of that night-flowering hothouse into some kind of a decent life, where she might have a chance at being happy.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I intend to find out. You count on that.
Now, you listen to me. I'm not helpless. And I don't make empty threats. I have the power to make you a rich man or a hopeless one. If you start prying into our lives, I swear I'll blot you out of this city and the state.
Miss Green.
Yes, sir.
Did you call Sam Jordan at the Inquirer? Tell him I want to pick up his file on Della Chappell, starting with the day she was born. Any questions, Mrs. Chappell?
Telling me you'd come down off the mountain.
Quite a miracle, isn't it? You know you're always welcome there.
I wasn't the last time we talked.
The last time was a long time ago.
How's Jenny?
All right. You have a big yard here, Hugh.
You'd be surprised how many people buy boats these days.
I'm not exactly out of touch with the world. I still handle my own affairs.
So I hear.
This time I made a mistake.
You made one a long time ago, Della.
Mistake about your son. I never should have brought him into the house.
You should have asked me. Barney's a tough fella.
So am I.
So are you.
Hey, Pop, I've been checking over the engine specifications on the Gambit.
Joel? This is Mrs. Chappell.
Oh, how do you do?
Excuse me.
Jenny's falling in love with Barney. Or at least she thinks she is.
How would she know the difference?
He'll try and make her leave me. I won't let any man do that.
What are you going to do about it?
Destroy him, if I have to. We've known each other a long time, Hugh. You know I mean what I say.
Packed your bag, isn't it? You knew you'd leave this place today, if that's what you really want.
It is.
said you wanted to get away from here. You told me that this morning.
I do want to.
You said everything you wanted was outside. Come on, Jenny. Now, I heard you. I know what you told me.
Yeah, but Barney, you don't know her. You don't know what she's like.
Then tell me. Why does she keep you here?
I don't know.
Jenny, look, it just takes one step, Jenny. All the friends you ever wanted are out there. All the help, all your own life. But you have to fight now. You have to try.
Go ahead, Jenny. Do it up. Once and for all.
Jenny? Your first step.
Do you know what you're doing? Yes! I'll be all right now. I can't.
Jenny!
How many times do I have to tell you?
I'm sorry, Jenny.
Honey, look. Look what I bought for you today. The pearls you wanted. They look lovely on you. It's not so bad, is it? Just the two of us here like this.
David was meeting me for dinner that evening. But I hung around the yard, half expecting Barney to drop by. I suppose somewhere in the back of my mind I had a father's yen to hear him say he was in trouble, so that I could help him. But he'd never said it to me yet, and he wasn't about to begin now.
David around?
He's in the office. Would you care to have dinner with us?
Thanks. I'd like that.
I don't know, Barney. Psychology's not a parlor game.
I'm not playing any game.
All that business
about sun gods and moon goddesses. That can be manipulated any way you like. A mother's little stories to her child. Elaboration of a family joke.
But I told you everything I saw and heard.
Oh, with all due brotherly respect, you wouldn't know what you saw and heard. Your own imagination's getting in the way.
I didn't imagine the look on Jenny's face when she tried to leave that house.
I'll give you an easy answer for that one. A phobia.
No, I've seen that kind of thing before. This is a mother. She has some kind of a weird hold on her. I went through Della's newspaper file with no answers there. I tried to talk to Walter Garrick. He wouldn't even see me. Oh, and 2 phone calls when I got back to the office. The Inquirer decided to try a new attorney, just for fun. And so did the Breedlove Corporation. Bingo, Mama's quite a gal.
What about the daughter? How do you feel about her?
She deserves better than she's getting.
Well, it's your battle, Barney. You know, I've got a hunch where you'll find some of your answers. Ask Pop.
He said he didn't know.
I think he lied. Joel said Mrs. Chapel came to see him this morning. Well, you young gentlemen like to die. I think I better be a good husband and go home to Vivian. You and Barney go ahead. Night, Pop. Barney. Night, David. I hear you got yourself some grief.
You might say.
You really stuck your chin up.
I'm not doing this on a whim.
No, you had yourself a big deal.
I've had him before.
All right. For a girl you don't even know.
I know enough.
You don't know anything.
And you tell me.
You get this straight, Barney. Della's capable of doing exactly what she said. She can rip you wide open with a dozen phone calls.
I've fought my share of battles.
You won't win this one. Now, what do you intend to do? Pry Jenny out of that house with a court order?
Maybe, if it comes to that. But just now, I thought I'd ask my old man for some help.
Well, no kidding. You finally said it. All right. I lied to you. I don't know everything. Just enough to tie you in knots. And I swore to Della I'd never tell. I've never broken my word, Barney. Not to anyone. I'm going to do it now because if I don't, you're going nowhere but right down the drain. Jenny Chapel stays in that house, lives like that, because she can't leave. Whatever it is, it concerns Jenny, not her mother. A long time ago, Della locked herself in that prison to share it with her daughter. Every day of her life, Barney.
My God.
And what do you expect of me, Mr. Stafford?
I didn't come here to ask for anything.
Just to apologize.
Yes.
Bravo. Good manners and a contrite attitude. I'm properly impressed. Lose a few clients, and now you want them back.
I wasn't thinking about my clients, Mrs. Chapel.
What if I said I still intend to fight you?
Why did you ask me here in the first place?
Not the Circus Downs deal, Mr. Stafford. I had every intention of selling that land.
Then why?
You were Walter Garrick's choice to take his place. He felt he was getting too old, that I'd need another attorney. I had you checked. Then this Delta thing came up, a chance to know more about you. I had to test how strong you were, how good you were, before I could trust you.
With your fortune?
With Jenny's life.
I didn't want to hurt Jenny, Mrs. Chapel. I just wanted to make her happy.
In love with you. I suppose you know that.
I knew she was lonely.
You can't even imagine. born with it. The nicest way to say it is she's sensitive to the sun. In time, exposure to the sun will kill her.
Kill her.
There's no cure, no treatment. None. Except to live in darkness. She understands that. She can't always accept it. I tried to share it with her. Not advertise it. That wouldn't help us, Mr. Stafford. I won't be pitied. Not I, not my daughter. Not by anyone. I tried to make her life less of a torment. To take out all the twists. I couldn't. Not all of them. I should have sent you away that first night. When I saw what was happening to her. All the fantasies she made. She lied to you, of course. Try and hold you. She didn't want you to know that it was all quite unreasonable. When I realized what you came to mean to Jenny, I tried to buy you for her in your office yesterday. I still couldn't bring myself to say the things I'm saying now. In all my life, I've never pleaded with anyone, not anyone, except Jenny. And now you. I'm asking you to be her friend. To visit her. To share that romantic part of her life.
I can't do that, Mrs. Chapel. Not what you want. Even if I was in love with Jenny, I don't think I could live like that. The way you've lived. I'm very sorry. Mrs. Chapel. May I say goodbye to her?
I don't think that would be very kind. For to come back here ever again. Barney, loved my daughter. Sometimes she hated me and blamed me. I expected that. Sometimes I had to fight her brutally. Her life didn't destroy me, and not this. Barney, this, what happened? It had nothing to do with you. You must know that, don't you? Is it too late for the new plant?
I don't know.
If the company still wants the land, I'd like to build something with the money. Something in the city for children. Could you arrange that for me, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Flying into New York tonight. Delta Industries will make the deal.
What about Della?
I don't know, Pop. After all those years, it's pretty hard to pick up the pieces.
Then you help her, Barney. You'll be closer to her than anybody.
Ever in love with her?
Me? Family secret, Sonny boy. That was true enough. A secret, all right. Not the first secret in Royal Bay, and certainly not the last. Well, maybe I'll tell them about that one someday.